When my dad passed away, the very night that I went out after he passed, I knew immediately I'm drinking way more than I should be. Well, he just passed away. It's one night. It's not going to be like anything crazy. It progressively kept being the same, sometimes worse. I definitely abused alcohol. That carried over to more of the grieving side. Fortunately, didn't really get a chance to grieve so much. I was kind of busy being the rock for everybody else. That took more of a toll on me than I realized. If it hadn't been for a good friend of mine, I love you, Tim, he brought it to my attention finally that he's like, not fun when you're this drunk anymore. You're getting out of hand. You need to really start toning it back. For a while there, I was getting better. One night was out at this bar. The guy was triple pouring shots in my drink. I ended up getting pulled over for DUI. That was the slap in the face I needed. I've had a drink here and there, but I've never been drunk since then.
3, 2, 1. Welcome to Standing Strong with Waylon and Ashley.
You're tuning in to the 76th episode of Standing Strong. And it's so nice to finally have you back, Ashley. How was your trip?
Hey, Waylon, it's awesome to be back. Quinny and I's trip was totally amazing and mind-blowing. Possibly upcoming this fall, we might have some more exciting news. Just depends with financial issues and everything else that comes along with certain news. But it was absolutely gorgeous. Everything went well. Couldn't ask for better weather. And meeting back up with our friend and whatnot was absolutely amazing. So we got to see a lot, got to do a lot, and got to catch up, and it was nice.
Good to have. That's good to have.
I wish I could have taken you with me.
Yeah, right. That one had been fun. Now, what did you find of Alicia's episode of Standing Strong?
Alicia's episode was absolutely mind-blowing. Y'all did a fantastic job with the 75th episode of the podcast. Thank you, Tyler, for filling in for me and allowing me to go take my travel trip for work and also to go see my friend. It was greatly appreciated, more than you know. Alicia, you couldn't have done a better job.
It was fantastic. It was a great 75th celebration. If you guys did not catch the 75th episode, go back and watch it.
Catch it down on the links below
at www.standingstrongpodcast.com. You can watch all the episodes at www.youtube.com/Waylon Myers. Wow, Ashley, we are on the 76th episode, and our guest today is none other than Mike Craig. What do you think of this upcoming episode?
I think it's gonna be rocking and rolling and very interesting and informative, and I can't wait to have Mike come along and share some positivity with us and his insights on different topics and things we have to discuss with him this evening.
Absolutely. And now I am gonna fall over to Ashley as she does the review of the week.
This week's review of the week was brought to us by none other than Jeremiah Barker. Jeremiah was on latest episodes we've done, and we had the pleasure of interviewing him. But this week, for the review of the week, Jeremiah states he has enjoyed being on the podcast a couple of times, and the podcast is a great way to be encouraged and become an overcomer in life. Thank you, Jeremiah. We appreciate that.
That's right, Ashley. What an amazing review by Jeremiah. Thank you again, Jeremiah. And it was our honor to have you on the podcast. If you would like to be featured as a review of the week winner, make sure you leave a review on our Facebook page at the Standing Strong Podcast, or like Ashley is pointing, at standingstrongpodcast.com. Are you ready, Ashley?
I am beyond ready, Waylon.
Me too. All right, everyone. Get your snacks and drinks ready and enjoy Mike's Craig interview of Standing Strong. Here is Steve Fox with his introduction.
Mike Craig is a passionate creator, devoted family man, and one of the 3 hosts of the Culture Shocked podcast. Known for his strong work ethic and genuine heart, Mike is someone who believes deeply in lifting others up and helping others realize their full true worth in life. Family means everything to Mike, and when he's not recording podcast episodes, he enjoys spending quality time with people he loves most. He's also a huge wrestling fan and appreciates the storytelling, passion, and larger-than-life personalities that the sport brings to fans around the world. Mike's journey hasn't always been easy. After experiencing bullying in high school over singing, he once struggled with the fear of performing in front of others. Instead of letting that define him, Mike chose to face that fear head-on. Today, he proudly shares his voice with the world, recording and posting songs while embracing his love for singing and music. Through his podcast, his music, and his everyday life, Mike hopes to inspire others to push past their doubts, stand strong through adversity, and discover the confidence to chase their passions. It's Waylon and Ashley's pleasure to welcome Mike Craig as their 76th guest on Standing Strong.
Thank you so much, Steve, for that incredible introduction of Mike Craig. Ladies and gentlemen, joining us right now is Mike Craig. What's up, Mike?
Oh, not a whole lot. Just enjoying life.
That's good. That's good. Now, when you think back to the moments you were bullied or felt alone in school, what emotion still stands out the most today?
It's weird. A lot of people would say anger, but I mostly was just like a feeling of loneliness. I had some friends towards the end of high school and still felt rather lonely because I didn't really have anybody sticking up for me, and it's kind of crappy when you think about it. So yeah, I would say loneliness. Loneliness was probably the biggest emotion.
Yeah.
That's understandable. Feeling lonely and isolated is definitely a major thing with bullying.
And is
the biggest thing that I was bullied for was definitely the other emotion would be embarrassment.
Mhm.
It was definitely, you put your heart out there for someone,
Right.
and when it gets used against you and in that type of way, it makes it extremely hard for you to want to do something like that again, and regardless of anything that it is. When you get ridiculed for such a thing is awful.
Absolutely, it is. I don't know why people have to be so mean to everyone. We are all created differently, and we're supposed to be there for each other. But that's not the case in most people's eyes.
I have found that it would seem most people who like to prey on those that they feel are easy to make fun of, it helps them feel better about themselves. They're clearly not in a great place themselves. So, it had to think about that a lot sometimes, because
Yeah.
obviously when you're dealing with those kind of people, your first thought is, it'd be really nice to kind of punch you in the face. But, one, I'm not a violent person. So even if those thoughts have ever crossed my mind, it would have never happened.
Right.
And two, it's just, it's not solving anything regardless. Eventually they'll grow up and realize, most people do grow up, thankfully. Not everybody, but most do. And eventually they'll realize that they were kind of, they're a little bit on the awful side when they were younger, and they learn from it.
Absolutely. Some of these people we went to high school with that bullying people, eventually they're gonna find it in their lifetime that oh shit, I was so mean to this person, and now karma's like coming back to me, and then they like, I apologize for everything I did to you, and it's like, I forgive you, but I'm not gonna be like your best friend, you know?
Right. Right. Yeah. I've had quite a few people that, have bullied me in school that have, seen me in public and been like, "Oh, hey, how you
Hmm.
doing?" Like we're like old friends. And there's a part of me in the back of my mind that, and this is kind of a negative side of being bullied, is you get this slight hatred to you, is back in my mind I'm like, why are you talking to me? Like, what,
Right.
where did you think, like, where did you think that this was okay? You didn't even apologize, you're just acting like it never happened. But forgive and forget is definitely something that most people should try to practice. And
Right.
yeah, I have that moment, and then I'm just like, yeah, hey, yeah, how's it going? And I'll talk to them just fine.
Forgive and forget is definitely a big thing you got to learn to do, especially in your adult years from things that tend to make a reappearance. But yeah, I think Mike did really wonderful with that question.
Absolutely, I agree. Now, was there ever a moment where the pain of pressure felt so heavy that you questioned your own worth or future? What helped you get through that moment?
For sure. I don't really ever talk about this very often because it's just nothing's ever come of it. But uh, I mean, and there have been moments in high school where I absolutely had thoughts of suicide. And I was never going to tell anybody because I've learned that the majority of people who are going to do said thing normally don't talk about it. Um, and not saying that the people who talk about it aren't going to, and that they don't deserve help, because absolutely they do. If anybody ever feels that way, there's a beautiful hotline call, dial 988 to get help. Somebody will definitely talk you through it, or hopefully you have a friend that you can reach out to. I'm not really sure what ever kept me from doing it, because
Hmm.
I can't pinpoint anything in my life. I that would have made me go, I really shouldn't do this. I don't know if maybe I was just too scared to do it.
Yeah.
Um, I think that was probably what stopped me the most. Is just I don't think I would have had the nerve to actually go through with it, regardless of
Yeah.
how sometimes badly I would have wanted to. I'm grateful that I never did. Life has definitely turned out way better than I would have thought it could have. Um,
Hmm.
but back then it felt like everything was worthless.
Right.
And bullying with me in general, it was hit or miss throughout school. Um, it wasn't really that awful in high school so much until the incident with the singing video, which we could talk about that in great detail later.
Yeah.
But with the incident with the singing video came up, I mean, that was probably the worst I was ever bullied, and it messed with me mentally, emotionally. It bothered me really heavily for a long time. And uh there did come a point, it took a little over a year after it happened, but there was a point where, the same people that had been bullying me over it forever, they were quoting this video. And it dawned on me as they were quoting it. I'm like, I don't even remember saying that. Like, how sad is your life that you have watched this many times that you can quote it verbatim, and I don't even remember it anymore because it's just a footnote as far as my life goes. Like,
Hmm.
who's the true sad one here? And I said something like that to them, and it did alleviate it a little bit. They backed off, and I didn't really hear much about it after that.
Yeah.
So I guess that was like a turning point that helped me get through it, was just having that sudden realization that these people are more sad than I am.
Right. Absolutely. Now, I know I wanted to commit suicide back in my junior year. I wanted to like snap my neck, but I don't know what it was that stopped me. I'm like, I don't know if I was afraid of it or if it was a sign that say you're not ending your life, so stop trying. And then I got on social media and I was like, I posted I was gonna end my life, that no one's ever gonna see me again because I feel everyone hates me because of my speech impediment and all that. And then when I posted, the next thing I knew, the cops came to the house because someone reported my Facebook post, and thankfully they didn't take me to the hospital or anything to get help. My parents was on their way home from Walmart. My sister, my brothers, my mom, and my dad was all mad at me and stuff. But it was just a moment where I was like, it was just in my head that no one liked me anymore. So I just wanted to be done. And then that's when I took time away from school. I took like 3 days off, and then we went on Christmas vacation. And that's when I created Team Lillian, and I escaped my dark moments.
Yeah, it's absolutely great to have an outlet like that.
Mhm.
I wrote a lot of poetry in high school. A lot of people don't know that. So
Yeah.
I wish I had some of that stuff, but that's long lost.
I mean, I think we've all had points in our life where we've wanted to and just had our holy grail moment of I can't do this because of this reason, or like Mike said, we all get too scared or something comes up and it just stops us from doing it, which is a Hail Mary moment in my opinion. I know I've had times even now in the adult life that
Yeah.
people have said that, like, okay, I'm done and I'm over it, but never did it. So
Right. Yeah. If anyone's feeling like you want to end your life, seek help because your life is truly important. It might be dark now, but it does not stay dark forever.
Now, I guarantee somebody out there cares whether you live or die.
Yep.
I don't care who you are. Somebody out there cares.
I would rather you message me than seeing your name in the newspaper.
or
Yep.
on Explore whatever county or on social media
Mhm.
somewhere, reach out to either Waylon or myself or Mike if
Yep.
you don't mind. Mention
Yeah,
you
I
too.
definitely don't mind.
Yep.
I'm been told I'm a good listener. I try my best.
Yeah.
So
I don't care. I work awake overnights for a reason. You need me in the middle of the night, phone's always on. So
Absolutely. I'm going to take a little break with my question, and I'm going to forward it over to Ashley to ask one of her questions she has for Mike.
okay.
Mike, can you describe a moment you realized that alcohol was controlling your life?
So oddly enough, a lot of this is connected. It wasn't until 4 or 5 years ago. My dad passed away at an early age. I mean, it was unexpected, and I had already been going out to the bars for karaoke. Finally, got brave enough to start singing in front of people, but I needed to drink like 3 Jack and Cokes a night to get comfortable enough to sing in front of people. But it was never more than that. Like that's what I would drink that, and then I would drink like pop or water. When my dad passed, it became I suddenly didn't know where that line was. And the very night that I went out after he passed, I knew immediately that, okay, I'm drinking way more than I should be. But at first I was just like, well, he just passed away. It's one night. It's not going to be like anything crazy. And it it progressive it progressively kept being the same, sometimes worse. And it didn't matter what night it was. It did to a degree. I only ever went out for karaoke, so it was usually only like Thursday through Saturday. But those 3 days, I definitely abused alcohol. I fortunately, and I can say this 100% confidently, I fortunately never got addicted. I think I was very dangerously close to doing so. Um, but I definitely abused it. And, when I was in college and I was drinking and partying, I was the same way. If I was drinking, I was abusing alcohol because it was there. And that's when you went to a college party, that's what you were doing. You were going to get drunk. Um, so that carried over to more of the grieving side. Unfortunately, didn't really get a chance to grieve so much with my dad at first. I was kind of busy being the rock for everybody else, and that took more of a toll on me than I realized. If it hadn't been for a good friend of mine, I'm going to shout him out. His name's Tim. I love you, Tim. He brought it to my attention finally that he's like, you're not fun when you're this drunk anymore. You're getting out of hand. You need to really start toning it back. So I did try. For a while there, I was getting better. I was drinking back to only drinking 3 a night. And then one night I was out at this bar and the guy was triple pouring, like triple shots in my drink. And I still only had 3, but I should have knew. I should have knew how I was feeling after the first one, that he was triple pouring them, but I didn't care. Like I just kept drinking. I'm like, well, I mean, I said 3. I'm sticking to that 3 rule. I was really bad off, and I ended up getting pulled over for DUI, and that was the slap in the face I needed, because from that moment on, I've had a drink here and there, but I've never been drunk since then. And that's why I always tell people, is like, I was close. I think I was dangerously close to becoming an alcoholic, but if I truly was, it wouldn't have been that easy for me to just turn it off like a switch. It's very easy to rely on that sort of thing when you're going through anything major that happens to you, especially, when a parent passes away at such an early age. Like, my dad should still be here today, and it's very unfortunate that he's not. I mean, he was a wonderful father. I couldn't have asked for a better one. It's unfortunate that he passed when he did, but I am one of the lucky ones. I got to say I love you to him when he was still coherent before he passed. So, uh, I some people don't get that luxury. So, I'm very grateful for that.
Your dad was an amazing person. Like I told you, he was just down to earth and respectful. I wish I would have had him on the podcast, but that didn't happen. But I am lucky you are on the podcast today. And Tim, your friend Tim, he's an amazing friend. I love that you guys have a good friendship. I work with Tim at Walmart alongside you. He's an
Tim's
amazing person, so I'm glad he's your friend.
Tim's a great guy, great singer too.
He is. He has a good voice.
I'm sorry about your dad. He was always made going into the villa fun.
Yeah.
But I would go in there, and your dad usually knew when I was out drinking. He'd just give you that look, and it's like. But I unfortunately had an alcohol addiction. I was an alcoholic, but I'm in recovery, and it's a hard thing to do, no matter what you're going through with it. So, kudos that you were able to recognize it and stop before it got too bad.
I'm so thankful I did, because I mean, we'd be having probably a completely different conversation had that not have happened. So as angry as I was at this bartender for over pouring his shots into my mixed drink, I kind of want to thank him, because I would have never got my DUI, and I probably would have continued to drink the way that I was, and who knows where I'd be now.
I'm proud of you for overcoming that. It shows a lot of courage, to say the least.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Was there a moment with your kids or a sibling or your partner that made you want to change immediately?
I would say that shortly before I stopped working on the road, I was working on gutters on houses down in Harrisburg for about a year, and I was only seeing my kids. I was supposed to have them. It was like a 50-50 agreement, but because of me being on the road, I literally only saw them 4 days a month, and it was getting awful. The job that I had wasn't what I chose. I started working for the company, and we did jobs locally. I was home every night, and unfortunately, his contract with that company ended, and the only other contract he could get was in Harrisburg. So, and that's who I worked for. So I didn't really have a choice, unless I wanted to not make money while trying to find a job. And that lasted way longer than it should have. And the ex I was with at the time, when she was with the kids, she wasn't like abusive to them by any means or anything like that, but she made them feel unwanted. And they told their mother. And so I mean, that kind of was very eye-opening for me. Is like, well, one, I need to get a job close to home. And two, like, this relationship clearly isn't going to work out. Like, I can't have that, because I mean, they're my kids. They're my world. And it was getting to a point where every time I seen them, it almost felt like they grew. And I'm like, that's not right. And unfortunately, they were a little bit younger, so I figured that out a little before they got to a point where I was missing a lot of really important stuff. But I would say that definitely had altered my life pretty big because, I'm where I am now and have been there ever since then and in a relatively good position. So actually, I'm pretty sure, Ashley, you worked there too at one point when I first started working there. So
Yeah, I started working at Webco for a little bit when you first started there because Matt was my trainer.
yeah, I'm sorry. I always say this to everybody. I like to. It's a fun little joke I play with him. I have a friend right now. Sorry. Come here.
You're fine.
See, you say hi. Say hi.
Oh, hi, puppy dog.
I know. You're on camera.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love dogs.
Oh God.
We both do.
She's just a baby,
Mine.
huh? You're just a baby.
They're always babies, no matter how old they get.
Good girl.
Yep.
Yeah, she just turned 1 in October, so
Aw,
she's still quite a bit of a baby.
Yeah.
Mine'll be 3 at the end of the month.
Dogs are amazing. I always say that you could tell about a person and how they feel about dogs. Like 'cause dogs are just, to me, they're like they're the barometer of humanity. Like they can tell a good person, a bad person, and I solely believe that.
Yep, absolutely.
Mine's been my saving grace, so it was a who rescued who situation.
Absolutely.
So, toss it back over to you, Waylon.
All right, Ashley. Amazing questions so far that you have shared to Mike. Now, Mike, a lot of people hide their struggles with anxiety and depression. What made you decide to face those banners instead of letting them control your life?
Well, I would argue that even though life is rather good today, I mean, I would argue that every day I'm still struggling with that. Like, because there's always something that's a little bit of a burden in life or that keeps you down. But I have this philosophy that I try to tell people, and it helps me a lot, is don't worry about the things you can't control because there's nothing you can do about them. They're going to do whatever they're going to do, and if whatever happens with it is what's going to happen with it. If you just solely worry about what you can control, your life should be a lot more manageable. Then you have nobody to blame in those situations but yourself, because you're the one that did it. Like, and it's easy to correct yourself, and it's easy. I mean, we as humans are our own worst critic. So, take the singing for example. Like, I don't think I'm like the greatest singer in the world, but I mean, I have countless people telling me that they think I sound good. So I'm like, oh, I mean, it must be okay. But I will never be like, that's amazing, because that's just not who I am. But again, that's just something that's out of my control, because I mean, I was born with this voice. I can't really change it. And that's just similar to any situation. I think it's the best advice I've ever given to anybody, and I'm not even sure where I came up with it. It's just one day I was like, why am I worried about this? It's gonna drive me nuts, and I have no control over it. So thinking about it's only going to make things worse.
Right. Absolutely.
Couldn't agree more. You can't control what you don't have control over. So it's easier said than done not to focus on it, but at the same time, you gotta stay focused on the positive and not so much the negativity.
Definitely. I definitely agree. It's definitely easier said than done, but I think that philosophy has definitely made life, it's felt like I could breathe a lot easier than I used to be able to.
Nice. That's good. At this time, everyone, we will be right back with Standing Strong after this commercial break.
We'll be right back with the Standing Strong podcast after this short break. Hey everyone, Tyler Peters here, and wow, isn't this program inspiring? The Standing Strong podcast brings such an incredible variety of topics that truly speak to the heart. Waylon and Ashley are doing a phenomenal job, and I'm beyond grateful and lucky to be a part of something so meaningful. Make sure to stay connected and visit the official website at www.standingstrongpodcast.com for updates, episodes, and more. Let me leave you with a couple of uplifting thoughts. Your strength isn't measured by the battles you avoid, but by the courage you show when you face them head on. Every day is a new chance to rise, rebuild, and remind yourself just how powerful you truly are. And while you're tuning in to this amazing content, don't forget to check out these incredible podcasts, each one bringing something special to the table. Culture Shock Podcast with Corey, Mike, and Adrian. Chasing Glory with Lillian Garcia. Gall TV with Mickey James, Lisa Marie, and SoCal Val. Tyler Talks Music and Tyler's Takedowns via DDP Productions with SJP World Media. What's Your Story with Stephanie McMahon. These are all amazing podcasts, and you don't want to miss them. They are all awesome. And now, this completes our commercial break. I'm Tyler Peters, and I'm handing it back over to your host, Waylon and Ashley. Standing Strong continues right now.
All right, everyone. We are back with the 76th episode of Standing Strong. Wow, Mike, so far you have shown a lot of inspiring answers to our question. What does it mean to you to be finally on Standing Strong?
Oh, I love it. I feel bad because I've been meaning to, do this with you for a while now, and scheduling and other life things going on, just it never worked out that way. So I'm very, very fortunate to be here. I actually gave you guys a shout out in my most recent music episode that I did because I was letting them know I was going to be on here today. And
Thanks.
Thank you.
yeah, absolutely. And what I said, I meant everything that I said. Is like, this podcast is great for people to share their stories about, anxiety and the bullying and anything that they've gone through that, everybody has gone through, that people are afraid to talk about. It's a nice platform to give people to be able to do that. And it's a safe space. So like what you guys do here is amazing. And I love it.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Mike, singing in front of people takes courage. Can you describe the exact moment when you realized you were stronger than the fear holding you back?
So like I mentioned before, I started doing karaoke. Again, back to, Ashley's question, that DUI situation, I stopped drinking. And like when I was going out to karaoke, I wouldn't drink alcohol at all. And so I had to, for the first time, start singing without the liquid courage, as people call it. And it took a little bit to get used to, but I had already thought to myself, I've been doing this for how long now with the alcohol, and people aren't complaining. They're not like asking me to stop. So maybe it'll sound better without the drunken, slurring and all that stuff. And I started getting more confident about things. And I mentioned to my buddy Tim, I was like, I think I would really like to try out for Taste of Talent, which is, if nobody knows, it's a local singing competition around here. And Tim, said to me, he's like, there's a lot of people that say that to me. And he said, you are one of few people that I would say actually has a legitimate chance of getting in if you do try out. So that was helpful. Definitely encouraging for sure. And
Awesome.
then I absolutely have to give credit to my fiance. She has definitely been my rock as far as like my confidence for my singing and stuff goes. She, anytime I've mentioned anything like that, she's like, go for it. I mean, if you don't ever do it, you're never going to know.
Right.
And so finally, the year before I did my first year, we had some things going on. We were just moving, and it timing wise was not going to line up. So I ended up foregoing trying out the year prior, and I was going to. It wasn't I didn't do it because I was afraid. It was just timing. And then the following year after that, I just said, I have to do this. And I, when I got that first phone call telling me that I was in was exhilarating in itself. Cause I still had doubts, I'm like, there's so many phenomenal singers that do that competition. There's no way that I'm going to be one of the 12 they pick. But
Right.
they did. They called me. I was in. I was super excited. The very first song that I sang, that was the most I've ever sang by myself in front of that many people. I was in choir in high school.
Yeah.
So I've sang in front of a bunch of people before, but I had a whole group around me.
Right.
That's so much easier. So much easier. And oddly, to this day, I will say that now that I've done it a couple times, it is easier to sing in front of a huge crowd of people I don't know, as
Yeah.
opposed to if I were to sing in front of like 10 people that I'm very close with. And I
Right.
don't necessarily know why. I think maybe it's because I care more about what they think. So therefore, I worry a little bit more about what they'll think of like how my singing was. But a big crowd of people is nothing to me anymore. It used to be nerve wracking, but
Right.
the moment I realized that I guess probably the moment I got through that first verse of Vienna by Billy Joel, I was like, I'm really doing this. Like it's happening. My voice isn't wavering. I'm not messing up. And it's always, I love doing it because one, I get so much enjoyment out of it. It's really fun. I know it's a competition, but I don't do it to win. Would it be nice to win?
Right.
Sure. But if I don't win, that means I get to keep doing it. So
Absolutely. I think we all have that moment in our heads when we first do something and we think like no one's gonna like that. So when I first did my podcast and I did episode 1, I always told myself, why am I doing this? It's not like anyone's gonna watch it or like it or anything like that. But then that's when I got coverage from a lot of different people, including Lillian Garcia, and they was just like, you know what? If that's something you want to do and you want to put out positivity, just be yourself and trust that it's enough. That's when I did. And then as time went on, I had a lot of negative comments. And I'm like, wow, that's what I thought was going to happen. And I'm like, I was going to quit on my 7th episode. But then I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to let these haters destroy my happiness of what I love doing, spreading positivity out in this road. And then that's when I talked to some people again, and I'm like, okay, so I continue on. I did up to episode 20, and then I'm like, what do I do from here? And then that's when I decide to update my podcast to be more topic than just bullying, depression, and anxiety. And then that's when I got all the doorman actors and everyone I have had on since being 76 episode in. So yeah, we all get through that at times thinking what we love doing. We get that dark voice in our head that say, no one's gonna like it, so why am I doing this?
and honestly, like with you, it is so inspiring to see someone like you overcome all of you what you have overcome,
Yeah,
because to do something like this with what you've had to deal with is incredible. And
thank you.
I think it actually helps a lot of people out there, like to
Yeah,
see that. And it goes to show you that no matter what limitations you may or may not have, like there, if you want to do something, there's always a will, there's a way, and that like
100%.
you can't let anything hold you back.
Yep, right, 100%. Yeah, for the longest time, I was like, no one gonna want to hear someone like me with a speech impediment. I'm like, I'm not popular, I'm not the smartest, I'm not the brightest, but I'm like, forget about that. Just do it, and then the right people will come. And that's what Ashley's been talking to me about. Forget the haters and focus on the positivity. The people who loves it will stay, and the people who don't hit the brakes. So
That regardless of what you do, regardless of who you are, there's always going to be somebody out there that's a naysayer, because unfortunately there is a lot of negativity in this world,
mhm.
and
Mhm.
we need things like your podcast that
Yeah.
like you said, spreads kindness and shows people that there is still good in the world. And like she's right, the right people will come, and
Yep.
that's the way it's going to be. You don't need the negativity. It's easy to just block it out, because you know what, you can't control it.
Yep.
Absolutely.
You gotta dust off the shoulder and overlook it and be like, okay, be gone, fly, and keep moving
Yeah.
on. So
Absolutely. So during your darkest days, Mike, did you ever feel like nobody understood what you was going through? And how did you push through that loneliness?
Well, yeah, of course I did. I had some really close friends in the later years of high school, and unfortunately, thankfully, one of them I'm still friends with. We obviously have worked things out, and things are good. But
Nice.
for a brief moment there, with everything going on with that ex that I tried to get back with the singing video and all that stuff, um, she made me out to be a stalker, to everybody. So everybody kind of turned against me, like all my friends. The truth came out. It took the entire school year, but the truth eventually came out, uh, which was unfortunate that it took that long. But it, I didn't know. I didn't think anybody understood what I was going through, because I was going through this situation where I had these close friends, and they had turned their backs on me because they thought I was this horrible human being that I wasn't actually, and they didn't realize that she was playing both sides, because while she was telling them that I was being stalkerish, she was talking to me the entire time like, "Oh, well, we should do this, we should do that," like, and it made me do things that looked stalkerish, because I thought this is what her and I had discussed, and then come over here to this other side, she's like, "Oh," so it was almost like she was doing it on purpose to make me look that way. Um, and she, speaking of people who grow up and do eventually, she apologized to me pretty heavily, um towards the end of when graduating. She's like, I was before I graduate, I want to make amends with people. I want to apologize to anybody that I may have wronged in my time. And I was like, well, I really appreciate that, because kind of put me through the ringer there a little bit.
Right.
And it was nice when they finally came around. I don't know if, I mean, that's really how I dealt with it, is that they just finally saw the truth. Um, I kept trying to tell them the truth, but from their perspective, I guess I really don't blame them for not believing me, because I know how it looked.
Uh-huh.
Um, thankfully, my one friend, he said to me, he's like, it didn't realize that she was, acting this way towards you. I guess he opened up her little messenger the one day when he went to go use her computer, and saw the messages she had sent to me. And he was kind of like, whoa, wait a minute. This is not how you talk to somebody that you're afraid of and think is stalking you. So
Right.
yeah, eventually the truth always comes out, which is nice.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. Like, I have had people message me apologizing what they did to me in school, and it was like, I didn't mean to spread lies about you. I just was so selfish. I thought about myself, and I wasn't thinking about the hurt that it was causing you, even though it didn't feel like I was being rude to you, but it was rude to you, and we apologize. Eventually, people will learn in time that, geez, I was ruined. I was the bad one. And what can I do to make it up, you know?
Yeah. And some people will say that, well, why waste your breath apologizing for something that you did as a
Hmm.
kid? And I'm going to tell you, to anybody who thinks of maybe apologizing for anything that they did, it means a lot. You don't, like you said, you're not going to be their friend by any means, but to
Uh-huh.
hear the actual story, like, and to know that you could tell it's genuine and not just them trying to clear their conscience,
Right.
it does actually mean a lot. It makes you feel a little bit better about things, and it'll make them feel better about things because they clearly were, like I said, going through something that made them act that way. Because
Yeah, absolutely.
there's no other explanation unless somebody's just that awful of a person. I mean, I don't.
Yep. Like one of the person that apologized to me, I'm not gonna say the name, but they was like, I am so sorry that I was so rude to you in school, making fun of the way you sound, the way you talk. Now I have to experience with my sibling because they fell off a tree, they're paralyzed,
Oh,
and
God.
they have a different voice now, and their siblings getting made fun of because of the way she's talking.
Mm-hmm.
So it takes stuff to happen into these bullies' life to get the reality slapped in their face to learn that what they did in the past was wrong, but their past don't define them because then they will eventually change for the better.
Yeah, absolutely. I would agree with that.
Sometimes it takes people a long time to grow up and realize their oh crap moment and
Yep.
need to learn that they have to, even if it's 10, 20 years down the road, that they need to apologize for it.
I agree with that. Now, Mike, if someone's watching this right now that is struggling with bullying, anxiety, or depression, what message would you give them from your own life experience?
First, I would just say, like, hang in there. I know that's a cliche, but seriously, usually things do get better. And you know what? If you fear that they're not, find somebody that you can talk to, whether it's a friend, a relative. 988 exists. It's the suicide hotline. That's what it's there for. Somebody will listen, and the people that work for that hotline, they obviously care. I'm pretty sure they're volunteers. Like, they're there to save lives, and so they want to hear you. They want to listen to you. Sometimes talking to a total stranger will help. The internet is a vast place now. Meeting people online and connecting with them over something that you love, as simple as that, to make a friend. They don't have to be somebody that's physically in front of you, just somebody that you can talk to, because if you're going through these issues and you're alone, it's the hardest. And the best advice I can give is to surround yourself with a strong cast of people, regardless of whether it's physically or online. Find the friends that matter, not the friends that are only there to, like, you have your friends that will help you through things, and you have your friends that are only there to basically suck the energy out of you. And it's hard to figure out which ones are which.
Yep, absolutely. Like, I told Ashley, I'm like, a lot of people that I've met online on TikTok, on Twitter, on Instagram because of Team Lillian and stuff, I'm like, they're nicer than my actual people I know in my daily date life. And I'm like, it's crazy. But I'm like, it's not like I'm gonna, oh, you're gonna be my best friend. Because I'm like, no, you need to at least take time to get to know each other before you meet up in person and stuff. But a lot of time, online people are better than the people you actually know.
I mean, that's a 50-50 crapshoot there, but
Yeah.
I can say thank goodness for social media, because that's what reconnected Waylon and I.
Yep.
About a year ago now, 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Like so,
yeah, 2 years ago. Yeah. I'm like, I was on TikTok live one day with a former friend of mine who turned their back on me. I was on TikTok live with them talking about WWE and stuff, and I saw a name came in, and I'm like, Ashley, what's up? How are you doing? Welcome to my live.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, so where are you from? And she, you really don't know who I am? And then I looked at her picture, and I'm like, Ashley, you're from high school. And she, there you go, bingo. I'm like, what's up? Long time no seen.
'Cause we fell out of touch after high school,
Mhm.
and then like 4 or 5 years down the road, we ended up working at, of all places, Walmart together, and then
Yep.
things happened there, and it just kind of went do, and
Yep.
no more
And then
Waylon.
I knew more about Ashley. I opened up to Ashley about my life experience, and that's when we decided to, you know what? Instead of doing this podcast by myself, because I was gonna have Dalton, but his busy schedule changed his podcast days. So I was like, shoot. So I'm like, I don't want to do this podcast by myself. Then I shouldn't just do it. I give up. And then I'm like, Ashley messaged me and she was like, how about I be your co-host and I'll bring my variety of topics and we can just create a podcast together with the same name and just bring out all these positivity messages of struggles that people are dealing with every day. And I was like, that's a good idea. So that's how Ashley and I decided to do this podcast together.
Yep.
And that's awesome. From experience, because the episode I recorded last night before I went to bed was by myself.
Mm-hmm.
From experience, it is easier and much more enjoyable to do a podcast with friends.
Yeah.
Adrian, who I do the podcast with, Corey's brother, is actually he was one of my best friends from high school. He was one of the ones that I was talking about. And you know, it's crazy because we reconnected. It was random, actually. Like we'd always kind of talked on social media. Like anytime like a football post he would come up with, he'd make, I'd throw in my comments here and there. But at the height of COVID, he randomly messaged me and he's like, "Hey, do you want to do a podcast with me?" And I was kind of like, "What?" Yeah, I guess I don't really know a whole lot about podcasting, but sure. Why not? What is it going to be on? And he goes, "That's the thing. I don't know yet." And that's our podcast came about because once we found out who we were going to have, we kept meeting up to discuss ideas. And every time we all got together, we would not stop talking about like Marvel and like like DC and movies, all that stuff, and TV shows, video games. It was always pop culture stuff related. Like we could talk for hours on end about this stuff. And finally we were just like, what if that's what we do? And we're like, what? You're like, what if we just are a pop culture podcast? We talk about TV, movies, video games, music, which bummer for me. We haven't talked about music that much at all in the podcast. Yeah. And it's kind of why I brought the Mike's Music blog around, because I felt, we have this guitar in our emblem and it never gets used.
Right.
So, and as somebody who I would argue is, out of the three of us, probably the most passionate about music, it just seemed fitting that I'd be the one to do it. So, yeah, it's crazy. Long-winded way of saying, yeah, doing a podcast with a friend is so much easier and so much more enjoyable. And I can guarantee you will not have thoughts about quitting it.
Absolutely. 100%. Like Lillian Garcia podcast was the reason why I decided to do a podcast, because I'm like, wow, having these celebrity stories from how they grew up to become where they are today in life, I'm like, that's inspiring. But then I was like, I want to do a podcast because I want to get into people's life, let them feel comfortable to talk about bullying, anxiety, depression, feeling alone, and one advice they will give to pour out positivity into someone else's life to see their purpose. And that's why I did Standing Strong. Lillian Messenger in her Instagram live that she was a guest on my show, that it was inspired by Chasing Goalie. Doing a podcast, it's hard doing the editing, getting the scripts and the image and the intro, the outro. it's tough, but the more you do it, the more you are like, I love doing this. I don't care if it's difficult. Like Ashley wants to learn how to edit and do that so that I don't always have to do it. I'm like, maybe one day I'll teach you. I'm like, you might smack me a couple times, but
Would I really do that?
I'm sure.
I do that.
yes.
I'm sure video editing is probably a lot harder than sound editing, because sound editing, I can tell you right now, I can make it sound like you never even noticed that I took something out. Whereas video editing, you can definitely see where something doesn't streamline. So yeah, I'm sure that takes a lot of talent, and kudos to you for sure, because I don't really notice it when I've watched your stuff.
Yeah, we have tons of bloopers.
That's good though, because then you can always release those as like bonus content.
Right? That's what I said to Ashley, and Ashley said, no. I'm like, yeah.
Because we have a Patreon for our podcast, and that's what we always try to convince people to come, like, oh, we post our bloopers on there, things that don't make it into the episodes that are just outrageously dumb.
Right. All right, I'm gonna take a little break before I continue with more of my questions. Ashley is gonna give her opportunity to ask some more of her questions.
You put me in the hot seat again. If you could go back and speak to your younger self during any part of your struggles, what words of advice or just even one quotation would you say to yourself?
I wish I could remember what my senior quote is right off the top of my head right now, because it was pretty similar to probably what I would say, and I'm drawing a blank on it. But I would honestly say that given what I know now, I would go back and tell myself, don't be so scared. Do the things you want to do, because being in choir, there were opportunities for musicals, and try to audition for solos and stuff, things that I would definitely would have loved to have done, but I never did. And I recall my choir director, when I was graduating, actually say to me that he wished I would have done more. And it was kind of full circle moment. It was really awesome. I saw him at Taste of Talent this last year, and he kind of nodded to me, and he looked at me, and he's like I'm really happy you're doing this. And that made me feel pretty good about myself, because technically he believed in me well before anybody else did. So I sure as hell didn't believe in myself. And, to a degree, I still don't, but that fear is not there anymore. The self-doubt is still there, and I don't think that'll ever go away, but the fear's gone. And that's the biggest thing is, don't be afraid. It's
absolutely,
there's absolutely no reason to be afraid to go after what you want.
Exactly. I can honestly say, I'm sure you heard Waylon mention last episode, I was not here. I was catching up, honestly, with a friend I, again, reconnected with after several years on social media, and I got halfway through the trip and almost made a U-turn to come home, and I'm like, I got to follow my heart, follow my guts, and I'm glad I did, because that's an once-in-a-lifetime opportunity that now has opened up so many more opportunities and doors.
That's really awesome, actually. I'm happy to hear that.
Thank you.
Yep, me too.
Can't be fearful in life. You got to learn to face everything and run the same direction as that fear. Don't run backwards.
Yeah.
Don't 100%.
Don't run away from it.
Looking back now, do you believe the struggles you face will preparing you for a bigger purpose in life?
I would almost say 1000%. Because if I hadn't gone through those things, maybe I wouldn't be as humble as I am now, and maybe I wouldn't be as grateful for the things that I do have now. If things had come a lot easier for me, maybe I'd be maybe I wouldn't be as nice to people. Maybe I wouldn't be as understanding as others, or as I should be. And I think going through those things has helped me be very understanding, not only with like my coworkers and trying to be understanding with my kids, because that's a whole different ball game. It just, being the best person that I can be so that I can try to help everyone else around me also be the best version of themselves. I don't think I would have that mentality if I didn't go through the things that I did growing up, and especially those moments in high school and a little after.
Right. Absolutely. Now, how did the painful experience shape the way you treat and encourage other people today?
Um, well, at first, I would say that I was definitely more lenient on the be conservative part. Like, don't well, if you think it's not going to work out, maybe you should hold off. Maybe you need to have more confidence before you do something. Uh, I definitely believe you should always be confident in yourself, even if you're scared, even if you're not sure of the situation. Find that confidence to move forward, because if you do things with more confidence, you're more likely to be successful. Um, and there's always that saying, fake it till you make it. So fake the confidence
Yeah.
if you have to. But, you know, I would say, yeah, I I can come off very sarcastic. This I haven't really done that here in this setting, because these are deep conversations that are about real stuff. Um, Normally, I'm a very sarcastic person, and I use that in a humorous way. But I mean, anybody who I work with will tell you that if they ever have a question and need help with something, I don't hesitate. I lead them in the right direction, and I make sure that they get to where they need to get to problem solve their situation, and they don't have to struggle. And if everyone approached life that way, I think the world would be a much greater place.
I agree 100%. Mike, in your voice, explain your story.
So for the entire story, so people understand what it is and why it's a huge deal that I do what I do now, I made a singing video for an ex-girlfriend to try to win her back. Uh, Her brother found it. He was a year older than us. He found it on their desk, and he passed it around the entire school. And I was heavily made fun of for a very long time, to the point where I was deathly afraid to sing in front of anyone. I mean, I still did choir, and I mean, I there were moments I almost quit choir, and that was my favorite thing that I did. And thankfully, if I didn't have other people singing around me, I probably would have quit. It was a very traumatic moment in my life. I do recall I had one person stick up for me. It was kind of nice, but when the video first got released to everybody in the school, um, somebody came running up. I remember I was in gym class. We were running laps around the gym, and this kid, he's like, "Well, do you really love her?" And I'm like, "Well, yeah, I do." And I'm like, "Why would I say that?" And why would I say that if I didn't? And the person that was beside him, he starts laughing, and she was just like, "No, that's really sweet." She's like, "I don't think that's bad at all." Um, and then it was just somebody had posted it on MySpace. That's how long ago this was. Those of you who know what MySpace is, um, they had it on their MySpace page, and it was just spread everywhere. My so-called friends made a mock video making fun of me for it and posted it on YouTube. I'm sure it's probably still on YouTube if you look for it hard enough. A lot of terrible things happened from that. It broke me almost. It really did. You gotta think it was 20 plus years that I carried that with me. And singing is something I love doing. I've always loved doing. Unfortunately, my dad is no longer with us to verify this, but I mean, I'm sure my brother, if anybody ever asked him, you could hear me singing in my room from way back when I was like 9 years old. Like, I just always singing, and it it's never changed. Even after that happened, I would still sing to myself, but after that happened, I would make sure there was nobody else around. 20 plus years is a very long time to hold on to something like that, and very thankful to my friend Tim for even telling me, hey, come out for karaoke. And I went because, I was like, yeah, all right, whatever, I'll go. I'm not going to sing anything, but I'll go. And he talked me into singing. And I was like, look, if I'm going to do any type of singing, I'm going to need something first. It snowballed from there, thankfully. Some good, some bad, but ultimately the end result was very good. It's crazy to me to think about. I'm not a person that holds grudges, but I definitely hold on. I definitely held on to fear a lot longer than I should have.
Yeah.
And I just I urge anyone to not let fear control their life, especially
Absolutely.
if it's something you love doing, like something you were so passionate about. Because the things I'm doing now, I wish I could have been doing a lot sooner.
When people hears your story and they eventually tell you that it taught them not to give up, what would that mean to you personally?
With everything that happened, to be able to say that I can stand in front of 500 plus people in a big park downtown Franklin and sing for all of them and not have a care in the world, from coming from what happened to me in high school with that video, I think is nothing short of amazing. And if it inspires even one person to try harder and to never give up, then I mean that would mean the world to me. It definitely knocked me back a couple, and I think that bit of humbleness prepared me to be the person I am today. Thankfully, because I think I look back on who I was before all that happened and look at me now and I'm like, God, I hated who I was. Like, I can't even imagine getting along with that person. And even traumatic things that do happen that, affected my life for so long. That's one of the things I always do that sometimes drives some people nuts, is I find a silver lining in everything. And
Yeah.
good or bad, I'd be like, well, at least there's this. And, some people be like, shut up. I'm like, well, I'm just saying, not everything's, not everything's bad.
Yeah.
Even something that is bad, you can always find the good in something. And
Absolutely.
I guess I never really thought about that particular silver lining until just now. So thank you for that. I never, you made me think about it long enough that that came to my
Yep.
mind.
If someone's watching right now that is struggling with bullying, anxiety, or depression, and every mistake they have made in their life, what message would you give them from your story and your experience life to not make the same mistakes?
Just don't give up. If there's something you truly love, that you're truly passionate about, that you personally, knowing you couldn't live without doing, don't let people get in your head and tell you that you can't do it. Two, you don't ever give up on your dreams. Like, I know that's also a cliche, but it's true. Because if you give up on them, I mean, sometimes it's good to have a dream. Are you always going to reach it? Maybe not. But as long as you're still doing the things you love to do, it makes life worth living. And I think that there's something to be said about that. Like, not everybody's gonna go on and be some famous person, even if that is your dream. But if you're
Yeah.
doing the things that you love to do, there should never be there should never be a doubt in your mind that you could have done more.
Absolutely. I love that. Who was someone that showed you what strength looked like when you were going through the challenges?
The only person that ever comes to my mind back during that time is my dad.
Yeah.
Growing up, I've shared this story with many people. I'm not ashamed of this one at all. Growing up, my dad worked 3 jobs to keep a roof over our head. He did everything to make sure that my brother and I had what we needed. There was definitely times where he should have done other things instead of what he did. Like around Christmas time, he made sure we had a good Christmas, and decided to skip a couple bills, and things I didn't know about as a little kid, but definitely figured out as I got older.
Right.
for all of his flaws, because nobody's perfect. He was an
Yeah.
absolute amazing father, and he could have easily given up many, many times. I know that it absolutely broke him when him and my mom split up,
Yeah.
and he openly told my brother and I'm 99% sure he told my brother, but he openly told me that when I was much older, I was just graduating high school, he admitted to me that, if it hadn't been for my brother and I, he probably would have ended his life
Wow.
when they first split up. And like, it's just crazy to hear somebody that I looked at as such like an inspiring source because of everything that he did to make sure we had what we had, to say something like that to me, that vulnerable. And yeah, I would have to say, if anything, if there was ever anything other than fear that kept me from doing anything hurtful to myself, it was seeing the things that my dad would do to make sure that we had a good life.
I love that.
Mike, you did pretty well with that one. So I agree 110%.
Thank you.
I'm going to fall it over to Ashley to ask her last couple of questions before I ask my last two.
What words of hope would you give to someone who feels like they've hit absolutely total utter rock bottom?
Oh God. 'Cause I mean, and oddly enough, I've kind of been there. You know, the best thing I could tell anybody is, even if you don't think somebody cares, they do. And if you're in a situation where you feel if you have hit rock bottom, don't be afraid to reach out. Somebody's going to listen. Somebody will help you through it. And you know, you're not in this life alone. And that's the best advice I think I can give is, just because you may feel alone, life was never meant to we were never meant to be alone. And that's why don't ever be afraid to ask for help. I think that's the biggest advice. Don't ever be afraid to ask for help.
A lot of us, myself included, that are afraid to ask for help at times, and you got to wake up and smell the roses. Quit beating it around the bush and running into the thorns. Ask for the help.
Yeah, I mean, I'm the same way. Even like a lot of us who are the kind of people that would do anything for somebody. We carry the weight of the world on our shoulders, and we are afraid to ask other people for help because I don't know if it's like a subconscious thing where like, well, if we're asking for help, how do we expect to help other people? And that's just humanity is the greatest thing about humanity is that, we can care about one another and be able to help and lift each other up, which we definitely need a lot more of that mindset in this climate that we find ourselves in in today's world.
Yes. Yeah. Less common to find those of us that are willing to carry, like you said, everything with the world whatnot on our shoulders compared to back when probably all three of us grew up. So
yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean, it is nice to see people being a lot more open than they used to be. I would argue some do it just for the attention, but regardless, I think it's opening up is very important, and trying to hold that all in is not good for anybody. So regardless whether you're doing it for attention or not, I mean, it takes a lot to open up to people and to share that vulnerability with somebody. So if you are capable of doing that, then I mean, it's honestly kudos to you, because back when we were all in high school, I'm going to say it was a lot. You didn't see that as often, and it was almost mind blowing when, especially like when a guy would do it, because oh, you be a man, you can't. I've never been that way. I've always been a very sensitive in a way person that like I always wore my heart on my sleeve, and maybe it got me. Maybe that's why I had less friends than I should have. I don't know. I definitely didn't have a lot of guy friends. That's for sure.
And I'm the total polar opposite. I didn't have a lot of girlfriends. I had a lot of guy friends in school. So,
like I've talked to you, Mike, it was easier for me to make friends with females than it was with males because of my speech impediment. So yeah, I was the same way. So
Women are a lot more understanding of,
mhm.
it is like I said, somebody like me who was more sensitive, and they're a lot more understanding of your situation. And yeah,
Yep.
women are mean to each other for sure. Like they're very awful to each other. But
Oh yeah.
I've definitely being in those circles, I definitely saw a lot of that, and I had to play
Right.
mediator quite a bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was definitely a lot easier in high school. I had two really close guy friends, and that was it. And
Mhm.
one of them I still talk to this day. I do a podcast with, and the other one I do talk to on a very rare occasion. But he's kind of a recluse, so he doesn't really talk to anybody.
Yeah. So now, Mike, after being afraid of singing in front of so many people in the past, talk to us now. When you released Mad Road, what emotion were you feeling knowing your story was finally being shared with the world?
So Mad World it started as an accident. Uh, I was contemplating singing the Gary Jules version of Mad World for Taste of Talent, and when I was at work, uh, we're not allowed to listen to music when we're at work.
Right.
So, um, I was trying to sing the song, which I had the lyrics and everything from memory, but for whatever
Uh-huh.
reason, I started singing it in a more up tempo. And as I kept doing it, and I was like, "Oh, I'm kinda liking this," and I kept doing more and more of it, and ended up singing, like, the entire song that way. And, Ben, who I haven't mentioned up to this point, amazing friend, apologize. He's an amazing
You're
friend,
fine.
and, he you know, there's a little bit of history there between him and I, and he reached out, and we have developed a very good friendship because of things that have happened in the past. And he was a bass player for a local band around here a long time ago. Uh, I don't know if this is name dropping. You guys might have heard of them. I don't know. They're Remora Dane. Uh, but either way, he was a bass player for them, and I knew he was good with music stuff. I don't know how to. I can play the keyboard a little bit, and that's it. I don't know how to play it. I don't know how to play any instruments other than
Yep.
that. And so I reached out to him finally. It took me a little bit, but I reached out to him probably in the middle of while I was doing Taste of Talent. I said, "Hey, I have this idea, and I don't know if you'd be able to do it, but if I sent you a sample of what I was going for singing wise, do you think you can make a more upbeat rock version of Mad World?" And he said, "Yeah, send me what you got, and I'll see what I can do." And I will tell you, Waylon, it turned out way better than I could have possibly imagined. Ben's
Yeah.
very talented with what he did with the music. Um, what I imagined in my head was good, and he somehow made it a thousand times better. His editing
Right.
was really good. Like I love the little background stuff he did during like the little instrumental thing right before the
Uh-huh.
third chorus. All that stuff. That part between the two choruses is my favorite part of the song. It's not even me singing,
Uh-huh.
but uh yeah, I was just so proud of it to have that out there and to have people listen to it and hear like the actual vision that we had and what we worked on together was I'm other than proud. I don't really know what other I don't know what other emotion to say. I mean, I was very thrilled, very happy, uh, excited. I'm very excited because we're actually about to drop a second song,
Yeah.
probably this week or next week. If anybody knows the song "Enjoy the Silence" by Depeche Mode, it's a cover of that. It's
Nice.
also another song that we took that was kind of slow and depressing, and we
Uh-huh.
kind of beefed it up a little bit. Uh,
Awesome.
I told him I made the joke as like we're turning we're turning gloomy into boomy. Is what I said. But currently, right now, as far as because that song's done, we are
Hmm.
working on a cover and working on an original song, which I'm actually really excited about. Like probably the most excited I've been about working on music with him so far is this original
Uh-huh.
idea that we're coming up with because the
Yeah.
music he's come up with already for it is amazing, and I can't wait to share that with people when it's done.
Can't wait. Yeah, I loved Mount Run. It was badass to say the least. You guys did an amazing job. If anyone don't know or haven't heard of it, I'll have it in the description of this podcast.
Thank you, I appreciate that. Yeah,
You're
it's
welcome.
by any means I agree. Normally I'm not great. I don't like listening to myself. But I've listened to that song so many times just because I'm
Uh,
so impressed with how it turned out. Like it again
yeah.
exceeded expectations, and that's what you want. Like you don't want to do something
Hmm.
and be like, it turned out exactly how I thought, or it could have been better.
Right.
No, that's definitely 1000%. Uh, very very proud of that one. Ben's very proud of it. Um, he loves sharing it and talking about it too,
Uh-huh.
and he's proud of it from an editing standpoint because he had never really done all that editing stuff before. Like he
Yeah.
definitely recorded music and stuff, but he never like went that deep into editing. So it was kind of like a learning
Right.
experience for both of us.
I'm glad. I'm glad it came out amazing. So congratulations on that.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. At this time, everyone, we are gonna flip the table and Mike gets the opportunity to ask me, Ashley, or both of us some questions.
Okay, all right. This is gonna be a wild one. Has there ever been a moment on your show that you've spoken to a guest about something that has been very difficult for you to get through? Whether it be emotionally because it reminded you of something from your past, or uh, you know, or maybe what they were saying left you feeling a little uncomfortable. You don't have to mention names, of course, but
Um, to say the least, with that, every episode I have done, I never really open up about myself or was comfortable to give my 2 cents into what they gave me. I think the first time I was really into something and I felt comfortable and I needed to put my voice out there and talk about it was when we did Connie Cloak's episode. He shared a lot of incredible, and I mean incredible feedback that he put out on that episode. And it just gave me and Ashley, it gave us both. We couldn't believe we speak up and share what I shared about myself on that episode. And it was mind blown. So that was the first episode that I opened up about and gave my 2 cents into.
that's awesome.
Yeah, he most definitely did open up in a couple episodes back with Cody and totally left me speechless. I mean, but it
Yeah.
was a good speechless, so I'm proud of him.
And like I said on my social media, I'm gonna be doing more motivational and inspirational and encouragement messages, showing the struggles I went to in my life to help someone else out there. So I'm gonna be opening up more than I have ever opened up before. So
I mean, absolutely. Knowing the little bit of your story that I do, I think that people would greatly benefit from hearing what you have to say.
yeah, thank
And
you.
I mean that. I'm not just saying that. Like,
Yeah,
like I mentioned earlier, much earlier. It's inspirational what you're doing on this platform, like doing it in the way that you're doing it. It to me, it tells me that anybody, like, if you have any desire to do anything, anybody can do it. Like you need to do it.
yeah,
Um, there's nothing that should be stopping you.
absolutely. Thank you so much for saying that.
Yeah, you're welcome. I asked something emotional. Let let me make it a little bit more lighthearted. Is there anything? I know, Waylon, you're really into wrestling.
Yeah.
I mean, you could talk about that too, but is there anything that you're really passionate about that you love to talk about, whether it's wrestling or maybe there's something else other than wrestling too? And the same question for you, Ashley, after he answers.
I'm really passionate about doing this podcast, and I'm also passionate about doing Team Lillian. When I first did Team Lillian back in 2010, if you asked me back in 2010 that I'm gonna be friends with her today, I probably would have said, yeah, right. So from 2010 to now, I have been like a 16-year friendship with her. That's one of the proudest accomplishments. I am very thankful for. Yes, I don't do Team Lillian as much because now my focus and my purpose and my passion is now on standing strong. Now, I am very passionate when I come across real friends that will have my back and will be there for me when I need them or just to talk and clear my mind. I am passionate about people in my life today. Um, I'm very passionate watching WWE too. WWE, I've been a fan since 1999. There's been an incredible change in WWE from when we grew up watching it because they're now in the PG era, which I hope one day that'll go bye-bye. But
Are they though? Because I feel like they're slowly getting away from it.
I hope. But yeah,
mean,
there's just so many stuff about WWE that I love. I get make fun of a lot because I watch WWE to this day, and people, that's fake, right? Yes, it may be fake, but it's not fake to us.
to a degree, it's fake.
Yeah,
It's scripted.
to an degree,
That
yeah, because
it is.
they're all mishaps.
Yeah,
So,
it's scripted. What they do in the ring is not
mhm,
fake. I mean, yes,
yep,
the punches and stuff. Yes, they find a way to make this land or whatever without hurting each other, but people get hurt. The blood's real. I know somebody's like, "Oh, that's not real blood." I mean, we know that they cut themselves, but it's still real.
mhm,
Uh,
yep,
it- the stories are fake for sure. It's
yeah.
basically it's a violent soap opera.
Yep, absolutely.
uh,
And I feel bad for Lillian Garcia and all the ring announcer. It's real when they change the script during a live episode and then they make the ring announcer mess up. It's not like the
yeah,
ring announcers can say, "Excuse me, I'm me from Chicago, Illinois." Like the commentator, they can say, "Pardon me, I made that," but the ring announcers can't do
right.
that.
I mean, be kind of funny if they did.
Right? Yeah, that'll be funny.
Interrupt the match.
Lillian, if you're listening to this, excuse me, from California, and whoever comes out.
That's
But
the
yeah,
Lillian thing is awesome because you said you've had her on this podcast, right?
yeah, she was
Yeah,
my 50th guest
that's
back in
awesome.
2023.
That is honestly that's really awesome. Like because
Because I had it was amazing. I was speechless. I was nervous as heck.
I'm sure.
Yes, I've done stuff for her, but I've never sat down and interviewed her. So that was one of the biggest accomplishments I have ever received in my life. And it's mind blowing to say the least. But yeah, it's been amazing. But yeah, WWE is just something I love to watch. So
Yeah. I found myself. I watched very heavily when I was very little. Back when WCW was at the height of its power.
mhm.
And then when they got bought out, I was relegated to having to watch WWE, which I'm glad I did because, my favorite wrestler of all time is Randy Orton, and that probably will never change.
Mhm.
and yeah, I don't watch it like I used to. I watch highlights. Like I do keep
Yeah.
tabs every week. I'm keeping tabs, so I know what's going on. I know the stories. And like occasionally if I'm very invested in what's going on, I will tune into like a pay-per-view. Like for sure,
Hmm.
I'm absolutely for sure gonna be watching the first night of WrestleMania because I mean,
Yeah.
I am not missing that match.
Right.
And that's it's similar. It's small things like that. Like when AEW first came about, I was following that pretty heavily because I've always been a huge Chris Jericho fan. Then Sting showed up, and I always have loved Sting. It was just AEW had some pretty interesting storylines going for a little bit there. I'm huge fan of MJF. I don't know if you're familiar with his work.
Hmm.
He is a phenomenal heel. Definitely knows how
Yes.
to get under people's skin, and that's what you want in a heel. So he's phenomenal on
Yeah.
the mic. He's not bad in the ring. I I think he's good where he's at. I don't know how they would. I don't think they would utilize him correctly in the still PG era of WWE.
Mhm.
But no, I agree. Wrestling is still rather enjoyable, but to
Mhm.
me, it's hard for me in all the things that I do now to dedicate
Yeah.
like the 2 to 3 hours, like
Yeah.
what's it, 3 nights a week? Like you got,
Yep.
it's a lot of time.
Particularly if you want to think about it, Raw, TNA, NXT, TNA, AEW, and SmackDown.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot. And
Yep.
so it's a lot easier for me to catch the highlights.
Uh-huh.
And then,
Yep.
like I said, I'll tune in when I can. And
Absolutely.
but on the flip side of that, Ashley, is there anything that you are really passionate about that you maybe don't get to talk about enough?
I'm pretty passionate, like Waylon said. We're both pretty passionate about doing Standing Strong, and getting our guest stories out there as well as bits and pieces of our own. My biggest passion, though, falls into my career. I take care of people with intellectual developmental disabilities, also known as
Okay.
IDDs. And that is something I never thought I'd see myself doing. And like I said prior to, when I had the opportunity to go meet my friend again after several years through the internet, it's opened up a big door. So
Well,
I'm pretty passionate on that.
that's awesome. And I'm sure doing anything like that is really rewarding. I have the utmost respect for anybody that can deal with, and that's maybe the wrong word to say deal with, to be able to, be around and being able to help people like that. Cause I think it takes a special kind of person to be able to do so. Cause not everybody has that kind of patience.
So, and I'm pretty passionate on getting my sobriety story out there. It took a long time, but I did it, and then getting my dog and all that fun stuff. And now I'm pretty big since well, not so much now because I'm in the process of some other things going on in life, but very exciting things. But I'm pretty passionate about going and traveling more and doing what I can do. So it's been a life-changing opportunity with what's come knocking on the door.
Well, that's awesome. I look forward to seeing what that is.
Travel's my passion, but so is my career. But when it comes to sports, I'm a Pittsburgh girl through and through. Sorry, I see you.
Uh,
I know, but I follow the Steelers and the Penguins fairly closely, and yeah, they might not have the greatest last few seasons, but here's hoping.
I was rooting for the Steelers this season. As a Packers fan, always been a huge Aaron Rodgers fan, and
mhm.
people could say whatever they want about him, but I think he put them in a much better spot than somebody else could have.
Oh yeah.
So, do I think he could take up to a Super Bowl? Probably not. I don't think he has that anymore in him. But what he does have in him is the ability to teach like the young guy like Will Howard
Right.
how to be, because Will Howard has like this crazy amount of potential, and to learn from somebody like Aaron Rodgers is going to be huge for him. So I think Pittsburgh's future is looking pretty good.
After everything you have gone through, bullying, fail, anxiety, learning to believe in yourself, overcoming alcohol, and all that you have been through, what message would you like to say to someone out there right now doing the exact same thing you have done that you would like them to change and to see their purpose, to get help, and with the people who are starving, what would you like them to know out of your story? That there's a more better way to do that.
First off, I hope you have half as good of the friends that I had around me that encouraged me to stop doing what I was doing. Because that was the first time my eyes were opened to how it was affecting others around me. And that's the other thing that I would say is, think about how your actions in that aspect are affecting those around you, because when you're in those situations, especially in my situation where I was doing it out of grief, I wasn't thinking about anybody else. I was only thinking about myself. And I didn't really, this is selfish. I hate to say this, but I didn't care. It's not that I was a jerk about it, not caring. It's just that I literally only cared about how I felt because of like the pain I was going through. And having somebody say something, even just, and that's, I would even give the advice to people who are dealing with a friend who is going through something like that, say something, open up and be like, hey, this is what you're doing. This is how it's affecting me as well, because that's all it takes. Well, not all the time, but that is easily a good gateway to get started down a good path. And
Yeah.
you never know whose life you might be changing by speaking up. And on the flip side of that, like I said, listen to your friends. If you have good friends around you, listen to them, because if you have good friends around you, they're going to say something, and
Right.
they care about your well-being. And I wouldn't have started being careful about what I was doing if Tim had never said anything to me. And
Right.
then of course what happened. And thank you to the state police for pulling me over. Seriously, I mean that with the craziest, like the biggest heart, because one, not only was he super friendly, um he probably the best experience I had with law enforcement, honestly. And not only was he super friendly, but it was the legitimate slap in the face that I needed for me to change everything I was doing. And if I hadn't, uh, I wouldn't have this wonderful person in my life that I do in my fiance, because she, her and I have talked about it. She would have been my friend, but if I had become an alcoholic, there's no way she could have been. She could have dated somebody like me. So,
Yeah.
thankfully, things, the dominoes fell the way they did for me because of that incident, and I am forever grateful for all of it. So those of you going through something like this, know that there is always a better future around the corner. You just got to look for it.
Amen. I love that. Very
And
inspirational.
not only did they save your life, they saved who knows
Yeah.
what else. And
Because
that's a thing in itself. And thank God.
I that definitely wasn't the first time I drove drunk. I mean, I will admit that. And I shamefully will say that there are times I don't remember how I got home. And you're right. That could have easily ended very, very badly, and thankfully it never did.
Hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, I can shamefully admit the same thing, Mike. There's been mindful. Thankfully, I never got a DUI, but I have many nights from when I was going down the rabbit hole of, I don't know how I got home. I don't
I knew
know how.
I knew the next day when I walked out and I seen how my car was parked. I was like, oh, okay.
Yep. Now, Mike, at this time, before we wrap up, would you like to advertise your podcast to new viewers?
Oh, absolutely. The guys, I think, would appreciate that probably more so than I would. Yeah, if you are interested in listening to any thoughts on pop culture related stuff, newer movies, we do a bad movie series, which is really fun for us most of the time. Uh, um, the patrons we have, we actually let them vote on a monthly poll what we talk about. So sometimes we get some real stinkers. But it's Culture Shock Podcast. You can find us anywhere. It's Culture Shock Podcast on Facebook, and I believe it's like CS Podcast 21 on just about everywhere else on the socials. But yeah, check us out. As we call it, we are the three aging millennials with our outdated opinions. It's a fun little tagline. If you're into this dynamic, Corey's very forgiving of everything, and Adrian's extremely cynical of everything, and I'm kind of in the middle. So it makes for a very interesting discussion on a lot of things.
Nice. Yeah, everyone, I will have the link to their podcast in the description of this video.
Mike, it was a pleasure to have you on. Thank you for coming on and giving absolutely wonderful answers to the questions and asking some fairly decent questions yourself. It was an honor.
Thank you. I appreciate that. It was an honor for me to be here.
It was an honor to have you as the 76th guest. Everyone, for everything Standing Strong, visit the official website at standingstrongpodcast.com and watch every episode on our YouTube channel at youtube.com/Waylon Myers. Until the next episode, the 77th episode, we will see you next time.
Thank you for watching the Standing Strong podcast with Waylon and Ashley. And now, a great shout out for our all-star team behind the scenes. Standing Strong's opening and commercial commentator, Tyler Peters. And our very own guest introducer, Steve Fox. And last but not least, our musical composer, Austin Sire, aka Ace Hire of Daydreamers Entertainment. This message has been brought to you by Standing Strong with Waylon and Ashley. Stand strong and spread positivity wherever you go.